Darin and Anita on Grand Strand. A music evolution. Now, Darin and Anita with your Grand Strand Artist Spotlight.
Darin and Anita on Grand Strand. Welcome back from a commercial break this week, folks. And Anita, our Spotlight interview segment. Are you ready for this? We've been talking about this for like 2 weeks.
I know. I'm ready.
On the line with us from Auburn, Alabama, is the Reverend Bubba D. Liverance.
Hi, Reverend Bubba. I feel like I'm in church. How you doing, Rev?
Indeed, it is the Reverend Bubba Deliverance, your slave in the cave and always brave, riding high in the sky, but don't ask me why. Come flap your wings and fly with me, Mama.
Hey,
how are
man.
you doing, Anita and Darin?
We're doing great. That was the best interview. Come on, we've had quite a while. I feel like I'm in church. Got to be a Baptist church somewhere. We going on like that. I want to tell you. Anyway, welcome on with us. And, to start out the interview, we want to get an idea of what Reverend Bubba D. Liverance is about. The Cornhole Prophets. Anita and I have talked off the air. She's trying to figure out Bubba D. Liverance. I'm trying to figure out Cornhole Prophets.
Okay.
So explain those two to us.
All right, you're gonna be the first person that's ever heard the truth.
Okay, the truth.
Here's the truth. First off, is I didn't want everybody to know if this whole project, when we started this band, if it bombed, I didn't want everybody to know it's me. So Reverend Bubba Deliverance is not my real name.
Right.
That's a stage name. And I got it from the movie Deliverance that Burt Reynolds was in.
Right.
I just thought that'd be funny. Reverend Bubba Deliverance, and then the Cornhole Prophets. And, cornhole's a real popular game people play, like at tailgating and that kind of stuff. I just thought it sounded stupid enough that it might get attention.
And it did.
Yeah. Well, if you mailed CDs to radio stations and your name was, Jimmy Smith, they might not play it. But if you send something to somebody and says Reverend Bubba Deliverance and the Cornhole Prophets, well, they may not play it, but they're going to listen to it.
That's exactly right. That's Anita.
They're going to sit up and say, hey, this might be a church song here.
That's right. Sometimes I see they list my music, on some of these websites. They say they have me listed under gospel music, which is pretty far from.
That's pretty cool. And like they're going to listen to the song you guys have out. If you can't shag, get your out of Carolina there.
That's right.
So there you go. That would be an awakening for a Baptist church. I'm going to tell you what. Anyway,
it sure would be.
Here, before we get to it, here's something that was said about you guys in Billboard magazine, a Billboard publicity wire actually, and it was called "Celebrating the Common Man" and exactly how much of this music does, as well as good rock and soul should. The title track is a hymn for the working people of America, sounding like Bruce Springsteen if he was backed by the Blues Brothers, and I love that.
I do too. And I think what they were talking in particular was the very first album was called "Let My Peoples Dance," and,
right.
and one of the songs on it was called "Let My Peoples Dance," and it was talking about the common man, the common guy.
Right.
People that just postmen and carpenters and all that kind of stuff.
Radio people.
Yeah, and how the common man should be celebrated as well.
Exactly, and it was a great album because I remember the song, both those songs off of there was "That's What You Do" and "More Better," and I loved the "More Better" song. We really had that.
Hey, you mispronounced it. It's Mo Better.
Mo Better, yeah. Okay. Anita, I think you.
Come on, get with it, Darin.
And you know where the idea for that song came from?
Where did it come from?
I love hot sauce. And sometimes I go online and I'll find these places that have hot sauce, and I bought from a company that was called Mohata,
right.
Mo Better.
Mo Better.
I'm going, sounds like a song to me.
That's a great song. And that album there, it spawned 3 top 10 singles on Cashbox magazine charts, and actually 2 nominations for Group Album of the Year for the Carolina Beach Music Awards.
Yeah, that was a pleasant surprise.
Incredible, I'm telling you, because you guys, here's one of the questions that I had that I thought of. How you're in Alabama, how did you find out, or how did you get into the Carolina beach music market or world of things?
I was born and raised in Whiteville, North Carolina.
Oh, okay.
Lived there, went through high school. So, and it was back in the day when beach music was the thing. We didn't even call it beach music then. It was just music that we listened to.
Yeah, R&B music.
My mother shagged. My brothers and sisters shagged. Everybody did that. And, as I got older and I moved away from the Carolinas, went in the service. I was in the Army for a few years. Right. Wound up moving to Tennessee and then later on to Alabama. I had gone 20 or 30 years without hearing any beach music at all. Finally, a buddy and I said, hey, man, let's go down to Myrtle Beach. I said, yeah, let's do that. And I went back down, and I'm hearing it for the first time, and I'm turning on the radio station and listening to it, and it just charged me up. I said, okay, I've got to do some beach songs. It's been way too long. And if you listen to beach music, it's not a far stretch from soul music, or it's not a far stretch from R&B. It's not a far stretch from rock and roll.
No, not at all. It's sort of a combination of a lot of those different genres of music, actually.
Well, that's exactly right, and it's it's Southern based. And if you think about music in general, I mean, most forms of popular music were spawned in the South. Soul music came from the South. Gospel music came from the South. Bluegrass, rock and roll came from Memphis and Elvis and
exactly
all those things. New Orleans came out with jazz. Southern rock came out of Macon, Georgia. And the R&B and the soul. With the James Browns and the Ray Charleses and Percy Sledge and Wilson Pickett. They're all Southerners.
It is. Well, I'll tell you. And there's a thing in North Carolina now. Just to throw this out there, the North Carolina Music Hall of Fame. I don't know if you've had a chance to get there, but if you go there, as far as North Carolina, all those genres you just mentioned, from jazz, opera, even the bluegrass, you can see all that came from North Carolina.
Oh yeah. My transition to what I had been doing, which was mostly soul and R&B, my transition to beach music, that was not a stretch.
Well, moving on a little bit, the sophomore album that you come out with, Watermelon Feels Forever. Now, Tell me a little bit about that. I know that's got to be a take on Strawberry somewhere in there.
Well, yeah, it is. Where I live in Alabama, I live kind of out in the country a little bit, and there's just watermelon fields all over the place. And, it just dawned on me. I was like, I'll call this. And if you look at the album artwork, there's a famous folk artist from Montgomery who died a few years ago. His name's Mose T.
Wow.
And he was famous for painting watermelons. And matter of fact, the Reagans, when they were in office, displayed his artwork, and it's in the Smithsonian. I took one of his, I know his family, and I got one of his pictures, and I bought some of his artwork and used that for the cover. So that's kind of how the combination of that, the picture, and where I live, that's how we came up with Watermelon Fields Forever.
Incredible. Well, let's find out a little bit about the band here. You're an 8-piece horn band. How long have you guys been together, and what all's going on there with the band?
Well, here's the thing. We've all played in various bands throughout our lives, but this really formed in 2008 when we first came up with the album idea to do Let My Peoples Dance. That's when I called some players that I knew and said, hey guys, you want to just do this project? I'm going to change my name to Reverend Bubba D, Liverance, and we'll do this and just see how it goes. Well, it's worked out pretty well.
No doubt, I'm telling you. Now, where do you guys play? I know you come to the Carolinas some for the Beach Music Awards and what's going on down in Myrtle Beach, but where's your territory at somewhat? I know you're out of Auburn, Alabama, is the home base.
Sure.
So I guess you would travel anywhere, actually, if somebody wanted you there.
We do, but, these days it's very, it's an expensive operation to put 8 guys on the road and a bus and a road crew and sound and light system and all that. So, we have to be selective about where we can play. They've got to be able to afford it and got to make it worthwhile. Right. So most of our shows are City Fest, and City Fest, different things like that, college events. And we do a lot in Alabama, Mississippi, over in Texas, down in Louisiana. And every once in a while we're going up to Ohio and Indiana. Have not really gotten over the Carolinas, but maybe just a couple of times.
Right. Cool deal. Well, let's move on with this. Here we go. That's the nugget right there, folks, of Reverend Bubba D. Liverance. If you want to know more, we're going to give you a website momentarily.
I feel like I'm still religious. I have to be in that religious boat right now. But Reverend Bubba, I know you have a new album coming out. Can you tell us a little about that?
We do. Been working on this for a long time. The title of the album is going to come out this summer, probably in late June, early July, and it's called Haint Blue. And we went ahead and released the very first single off of it, which is called A Night Like This.
Incredible.
And if you think back into the 60s and 70s, a lot of bands did that. They would release 1 or 2 singles before the album came out. So we're hoping these first couple of singles build momentum for the full album release. And the first time I heard the word haint, it was my grandmother talking about some other woman, and she said, that woman's ugly as a she-haint. And I said, a haint? What is a haint? She says, a ghost. So I assumed that it was just kind of a mispronunciation of the word haunt.
Right.
So I've heard that, many, many times throughout my life, a haint being called, or a ghost being called a haint. And one of the things about blue, the idea was back in South Carolina was if you painted the shutters or the ceiling of your porch a light blue, it looks like water, and that would scare off the haint, so your house would be safe from haint.
There you go. Haint Blue, folks, you got it right there. You know where that album came from. Where can they find out about Reverend Bubba D. Liverance and the Cornhole Prophets?
Well, of course, we got a website. It's revbubbaband.com. And generally, if people want to find out any information, just go to Google and Google up Reverend Bubba D Liverance, and there's a whole bunch of things about us.
There you go. And folks, we'll have links to all of that on our website, DarinAnita.com. Go there and you can check out everything about Reverend Bubba D Liverance and the Cornhole Prophets there. Well, Reverend, thank you so much for being on with us today.
Let's go ahead and give them the new hit.
A night like this.
Darin and Anita on Grand Strand. A music evolution.